Every mystery begins with a question: a missing person, a forgotten object, or a strange event buried in history. Sometimes the answers are hidden, sometimes they were never found, and sometimes the truth is stranger than anything we could imagine. This is a collection of mysteries, crimes, legends, and unexplained stories from around the world. Tonight's story begins in the July of 2019, where a Facebook event called Storm 51, They Can't Stop All of Us, attracted 2 million RSVPs. Approximately 150 people actually showed up to the Nevada desert on the appointed day. They took selfies near the warning signs. Several were briefly detained, but nobody stormed anything. But the event itself, the fact that 2 million people clicked a button expressing willingness to assault a military installation in search of alien spacecraft, tells you something important about the relationship between Area 51 and the American public. Well, Area 51 exists. The US government acknowledged this officially in 2013, following a Freedom of Information Act request that produced a CIA history of the facility. It is a classified military test site in the Nevada desert, approximately 83 miles northwest of Las Vegas. It sits beside a dry lake bed called Groom Lake. It has a runway, it has hangars, it has restricted airspace that extends for hundreds of square miles in every direction. What it does not have, as far as any credible evidence suggests, is alien spacecraft or alien bodies or even alien technology of any kind. What it does have is a history of some of the most significant secret aircraft development in the history of aviation. A history that, when understood fully, explains almost everything the UFO mythology attributes to alien contact. This is the complete truth about India 51. The real secrets, the real aircraft, the real cover stories, and the question of what, if anything, remains genuinely unknown. To understand Area 51, you must understand what the United States was afraid of in 1955. The Soviet Union had tested its first atomic bomb in 1949, years earlier than American intelligence had predicted. It had demonstrated hydrogen bomb capability in 1953. Its military had achieved things that American analysts had not expected it to achieve on timelines they had not anticipated. American military and intelligence leadership faced a specific and terrifying problem. They did not know what the Soviet Union was building. They did not know the location of Soviet missile sites, bomber bases, or nuclear facilities. They could not plan a response to a first strike if they did not know where the first strike would come from. They needed recon. Aerial recon, photographs from above, was the most reliable intelligence source available. But conventional aircraft flying at conventional altitudes were vulnerable to Soviet anti-aircraft systems. Soviet airspace, penetrated by conventional aircraft, would mean shot down pilots, diplomatic incidents, and the exposure of intelligence methods. They needed an aircraft that could fly higher than any existing anti aircraft system could reach, higher than any existing fighter jet could reach, high enough to be functionally invisible to Soviet defenses. In 1954, the CIA approached Lockheed's Skunk Works division, a classified advanced development facility in Burbank, California, with the requirement. Kelly Johnson, the lead designer, proposed an aircraft that seemed, by the engineering standards of the time, barely possible. They called it the U-2. The U-2 required a test facility that was distant from populated areas, invisible to commercial flight paths, and sufficiently controlled that testing could proceed without external observation. Richard Bissell, the CIA officer overseeing the project, and Kelly Johnson personally scouted the Nevada desert in 1955. They identified Groom Lake, a dry lake bed on the edge of the Nevada Test and Training Range, already government controlled territory, as ideal. Construction began in 1955. The facility was called, in its initial CIA documentation, Watertown. Workers referred to it as a ranch. It acquired the designation Area 51 from the grid numbering used on the Nevada test site maps. It fell in Grid Square 51. The U-2 first flew from Area 51 in August 1955. It achieved altitudes of over 60,000 feet, far above the operational ceiling of any Soviet aircraft or anti-aircraft system of that period. Beginning in 1956, U-2 aircraft flew missions over Soviet territory, returning with photographic intelligence of unprecedented quality. Soviet missile facilities, bomber bases, nuclear test sites, all photographed in detail for the first time. The Soviets detected the overflights. Their radar could track the U-2. Their interceptors could not reach it. Their surface-to-air missiles could not reach it. Yet, until May 1960, when a Soviet SA-2 missile shot down Francis Gary Powers' U-2 over Sverdlovsk, Powers survived and was captured. The incident became an international crisis, destroyed a planned summit between Eisenhower and Khrushchev, and exposed the entire program. But between 1956 and 1960, the U-2 had provided intelligence that fundamentally shaped American strategic planning. The connection between Area 51 and UFO sightings is not coincidental, it's causal, and the causality runs in a direction that surprises most people. The secret aircraft tested at Area 51 caused UFO sightings. Not because the aircraft was alien, because they were secret and because they flew in ways that observers on the ground and commercial pilots at commercial altitudes had never seen aircraft fly. The U-2 at 60,000 feet was in sunlight when aircraft at commercial altitudes around 20,000 feet were in shadow. At dawn and dusk, a U-2 at altitude would catch the sun and appear as a bright, fast-moving light in a darkening sky. Observers on the ground, seeing a bright light moving at an extreme altitude, had no framework for explaining it. They reported it to the authorities. The CIA, aware that the U-2 program was classified, could not explain the sightings publicly. Internally, they tracked civilian and pilot UFO reports and noted how many correlated with the U-2 test flights. The answer was many. The U-2 was succeeded by the A-12, a Mark III Recon aircraft that could reach 90,000 feet, and the SR-71 Blackbird, which became the fastest air-breathing aircraft in history. Both were tested at Groom Lake. Both produced UFO reports. The declassified CIA history of Area 51, released in 2013, specifically addresses this. It estimates that more than half of all UFO reports from the late 1950s through the 1960s that were investigated by the Air Force were attributable to secret aircraft programs rather than conventional aircraft or unknown phenomena. The government knew this. It could not say so. And the gap between what the government knew and what it could say created the exact conditions in which UFO mythology flourishes. Now let's go to Roswell, New Mexico in July 1947. A rancher named Mac Brazel found debris scattered across a large area of his property near the town of Roswell. The US Army Air Forces initially issued a press release stating that a flying disc had been recovered. This was retracted within hours, replaced by a statement that the debris was a weather balloon. The weather balloon explanation was in fact partially false. Subsequent declassified documents revealed that the debris was from Project Mogul, a classified program using high altitude balloons to monitor Soviet nuclear tests. The cover story was the mundane one, not the dramatic one, but the damage was done. The initial press release, Flying Disc Recovered, had gone out. Its retraction did not reach everyone who had read it. The Roswell mythology that developed over the following decades, alien spacecraft, recovered alien bodies, military cover up, drew extensively on the actual government secrecy around actual programs. The secrecy was real and the cover stories were real. The inference that the secrecy concealed something extraordinary was understandable. The connection to Area 51 developed because the base was the most visible symbol of classified aviation activity. Roswell witnesses, or people who claimed to be witnesses, some of whom were genuine and some of whom were fabricating or co-fabulating, placed their accounts in a framework that included Area 51 as a destination for recovered material. No recovered alien material has ever been credibly documented at Area 51 or anywhere else. This does not mean it definitively does not exist, but the absence of evidence in this case is significant because the amount of material that has been declassified and the number of people who have worked at the facility make a successfully concealed alien contact program increasingly impossible. In 1989, a man named Bob Lazar appeared on a Las Vegas television station and claimed to have worked at a facility called S4, adjacent to Area 51, where he had been employed to reverse engineer alien spacecraft. His claims were specific. 9 alien craft, gravity wave propulsion, an element he called it element 115 that powered the propulsion system and did not appear on the periodic table at the time he described it. Element 115 was synthesized by Russian scientists in 2003 and officially named moscovium in 2016. Lazar has cited this as confirmation of his account. His employment records at Los Alamos, where he claimed to have worked before ESCO, were initially disputed and then partially confirmed. A phone directory was produced showing his name. A payroll record was found. The US government has never acknowledged the existence of ESCO. It has never confirmed Lazar's employment in any classified capacity at any facility connected to Area 51. Lazar has been consistent in his account for over 30 years. He has not embellished it in the ways that typically characterizes fabricators who enjoy attention. He has not profited from it beyond a modest celebrity that he appears to find burdensome. Is he telling the truth? He may be. He may be experiencing genuine memories of a genuine experience, the details of which were distorted by the classified compartmentalization of what he saw. He may be experiencing constructed memories. He may be deliberately fabricating. His account is the most credible first person alien technology claim connected to Area 51. It remains unverified. It deserves to be taken seriously and held in appropriate uncertainty. Area 51, as of 2026, is an active classified military facility. What happens there is not fully public. What is known, it continues to be used for the development and testing of advanced aircraft. The F-117 Nighthawk stealth fighter was tested there. The B-2 Spirit stealth bomber program almost certainly involved Groom Lake at some stage. Drone technology programs have been associated with the facility. The facility has expanded significantly since the 1950s. Satellite imagery shows extensive runway infrastructure, large hangar facilities, and supporting buildings. The restricted airspace has grown. Workers commute to the facility on unmarked aircraft, operated by a contractor, visible only as a flight called Janet, Joint Air Network for Employee Transportation, from a terminal at McCarran International Airport in Las Vegas. Thousands of people work there. They have security clearances. They cannot discuss what they do. This is, in and of itself, genuinely striking. A facility in the Nevada desert employing thousands of people, all of whom are legally prohibited from describing their work, developing technology that the public will not know about for decades, if at all. The secrecy is justified by genuine national security interests. Advanced aircraft programs, if known to adversaries, provide those adversaries with the ability to develop countermeasures. The secrecy is not evidence of alien technology, it is evidence of an ordinary military industrial complex doing classified work. In 2021, the US intelligence community released a report on unidentified alien phenomena, the term that has replaced UFO in official usage, acknowledging that many incidents reported by military pilots remain unexplained. In 2023, a former intelligence officer named David Grush testified before Congress, claiming under oath that the US government possessed non human craft and biological material, and that this information was being withheld from congressional oversight. These developments are significant. The 2021 report was the first official acknowledgement that some aerial phenomena observed by military pilots could not be explained by known aircraft or natural phenomena. The Grush testimony, made under oath by someone with documented access to classified programs, is the most credible official claim of non human technology in the history of the public conversation. I'm not saying this means aliens. I'm saying the conversation has changed in ways that deserve honest acknowledgement. The most responsible position. Some aerial phenomena remain genuinely unexplained. The explanation may be advanced foreign technology. It may be undisclosed domestic technology. It may be atmospheric or sensor phenomena we do not fully understand. It may be something else. The specific claim that non human aircraft are in US government possession, if true, would be the most significant fact in human history. Claims of that magnitude require extraordinary evidence. The evidence currently available is testimony. The testimony is a starting point, not a conclusion. The story is still developing. Area 51 is a real place doing real classified work. The most significant things that happened there, the U-2, A-12, SR-17, F-117, are now public knowledge and represent some of the most remarkable engineering achievements in aviation history. The UFO mythology that grew around it was partly a consequence of that classified work, and partly a consequence of a government that found it strategically convenient to let the alien rumors run rather than acknowledge the aircraft that were actually generating the sightings. The Grush testimony has complicated this picture in ways that honest people should acknowledge. The conversation about unexplained aerial phenomena has moved from the fringes to congressional hearings. That is a significant shift. But the history of Area 51 teaches us something important about that shift. The most remarkable things that have happened in that desert have been human. Incredibly gifted human engineers working on extraordinary secrecy, building things that seemed impossible. If there is something else, something not human, it has been kept secret longer and more completely than anything in the history of classified programs. That is remarkable if true. It might be true. We genuinely do not know. And that is where the trail goes forth. Whatever the explanation may be, the question remains. And as long as they do, the story continues. This channel is going to be home to a lot of stories like this one, unsolved, unexplained, but always rooted in real people. Thank you for listening. Until next time, stay curious.